In 1925, a British explorer walked into the depths of the Amazon rainforest, searching for a lost city that he believed was hidden somewhere in its endless green expanse. He was never seen again. No trace of him, his son, or their small expedition was ever found, despite dozens of rescue missions sent to search for them over the following decades. Some of those searchers vanished too. He left behind a mystery that has haunted explorers and adventurers for 100 years, inspiring books, films, and countless failed expeditions of their own. His name was Percy Fawcett, and this is the story of the man obsessed with a lost city and the jungle that swallowed him whole.
Percy Harrison Fawcett was born in England in 1867 and grew up dreaming of adventure and distant lands. He joined the British Army as a young man and trained as a surveyor and artillery officer, skills that would define the rest of his life. In his 30s, Fawcett was recruited by the Royal Geographical Society to map the remote and contested borders of Bolivia and Brazil, deep in the unexplored jungles of South America. It was grueling, dangerous work, battling disease, hostile terrain, and deadly wildlife. But Fawcett thrived in the wilderness in a way few Englishmen ever had. The jungle, so hostile to most explorers, seemed to call to something deep within him.
Over the following years, Fawcett led expedition after expedition into what he called the Green Hell of the Amazon, mapping rivers and borders no outsider had ever charted. He endured piranha-infested waters, venomous snakes, biting insects, and diseases that killed lesser men. He developed an almost supernatural reputation for surviving where others perished, moving through the jungle with a mixture of iron discipline and reckless courage. Fawcett became one of the most celebrated explorers of his era, admired by the Royal Geographical Society and the British public alike. But somewhere in these long, brutal years in the wilderness, he began to hear rumors and legends whispered by local tribes and old colonial records, stories of a hidden, ancient city buried deep in the forest. Fawcett became captivated by an old document he uncovered, a report written by a Portuguese explorer centuries earlier describing the ruins of a vast, ancient stone city hidden somewhere in the Brazilian jungle. Combined with local legends of a lost civilization, Fawcett grew convinced that a great, forgotten city truly existed, waiting to be discovered. He called this city simply Z. Most scholars of the time dismissed the idea entirely, believing the dense, resource-poor jungle could never have supported an advanced civilization. But Fawcett trusted the evidence he had gathered over decades in the field and became utterly consumed by the search. Finding this lost city became not just his life's work, but his obsession, one that would ultimately claim everything he had. Fawcett's search was interrupted by the First World War, in which he served with distinction on the battlefields of Europe, a world away from the jungle he longed for. The horrors of trench warfare left him even more convinced that civilization itself was fragile and flawed, and that his true purpose lay elsewhere, in the wilderness he had come to know so intimately. After the war, he spent years trying to raise funds and support for one final, decisive expedition to find his lost city. He grew increasingly secretive and mystical in his beliefs, blending science with strange spiritual theories about lost civilizations. Finally, in 1925, with backing from newspapers and societies fascinated by his quest, Fawcett was ready to make his last attempt. In April 1925, at the age of 57, Fawcett set out into the Brazilian jungle one final time, accompanied by his own grown son, Jack, and Jack's close friend. Fawcett insisted on a small party, believing large expeditions only attracted trouble and slowed them down. He was confident
even certain that this journey would finally lead him to the lost city of Z. On the 29th of May, Fawcett sent back a final message to his wife, reporting that they were about to enter unexplored territory beyond the reach of any hostile tribes they feared, and that she should not worry if no further word arrived for some time. It was the last anyone would ever hear from them.
Weeks passed, then months, and no further word came from Fawcett's small party. As the silence stretched on, the world began to realize that something had gone terribly wrong. Newspapers that had once celebrated his quest now speculated wildly about his fate. Had he been killed by a hostile tribe? Had disease or starvation claimed the party in the depths of the forest? Or had Fawcett, as some believed, actually found his lost city and simply chosen never to return to the modern world? No bodies, no camp, no definitive clue was ever discovered. The jungle that Fawcett had spent his life exploring had swallowed him, his son, and their companion completely, without leaving behind a single certain answer.
Fawcett's disappearance ignited a worldwide obsession. Over the following decades, more than a dozen expeditions ventured into the Amazon, hoping to solve the mystery and find Fawcett, or at least his remains. Some searchers claimed to find fragments of evidence, tools or bones rumored to belong to the lost party, though none was ever conclusively verified. Astonishingly, some of these rescue missions themselves ended in tragedy, with several searchers losing their own lives to the same unforgiving jungle. It is believed that as many as 100 people may have died over the years, directly or indirectly, in the search for Percy Fawcett. His vanishing had become one of the most dangerous unsolved mysteries in the history of exploration. As the decades passed, Fawcett's story grew into legend, inspiring adventure fiction, films, and endless speculation. For years, most historians assumed his lost city of Z had been nothing more than a romantic fantasy. But remarkably, modern archaeology has since revealed genuine, sophisticated ancient settlements once hidden beneath the Amazon canopy, complex networks of roads, plazas, and earthworks built by cultures history had largely forgotten. Fawcett may have been chasing a real truth, even if his exact vision of a lost city was never quite what he imagined. The line between his obsession and reality had always been blurred, and perhaps, in some form, he was closer to right than the skeptics of his time ever believed.
A century later, the fate of Percy Fawcett remains one of the great unsolved mysteries of modern exploration. No grave, no wreckage, no final resting place has ever been found. He walked into the green vastness of the Amazon, certain that he was about to make the discovery of a lifetime, and simply never walked back out. Was he killed, lost, or did he somehow find exactly what he was looking for? We may never know for certain. What remains is the story of a man so consumed by a dream that he gave everything, including his own life, in pursuit of it. Percy Fawcett vanished into legend, and the jungle has never told his secret.
Percy Fawcett, the explorer who chased a lost city into the Amazon and vanished into legend forever.